Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of season 2 of our F123 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend at the Mexican Grand Prix. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez returns once more, and of course, safe to say, happy memories from this venue last season. Of course, my very first victory inside F123. It was an absolutely ridiculous race, of course, here last season. Maybe we can try and get a similar race again. We will have to wait and see. But of course, if you missed out on yesterday's video from the US Grand Prix, of course, another sprint race weekend, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Of course, we had a lot of sprints over the last few days, and we've got one more coming as well tomorrow. So yeah, definitely want to get yourself subscribed if you haven't already, of course, and a massive thank you to all of you for the continued support on this series. In terms of vehicle performance, we're pretty much in line now with Haas, actually, right behind Williams and McLaren there. We've still got a couple more upgrades in the works, but I think, honestly, once that aero upgrade is on the car, until we upgrade our facilities, we haven't got anything more we can do at the moment. We might have one more chassis upgrade there, which is going to cost us 1,200 points. But yeah, with the exception of durability, which there's always plenty to do down there, we are hitting a bit of a limit at the moment inside F123. We've got a bit of money to spare, but I'm probably just going to save everything until the end of the season, of course, so then we can head into season 3 even, get a new driver, and obviously get some facility upgrades as well once we know where we're at. But yeah, Mexican GP though here today. I'm really hoping we can try and continue on. We've had a good little run of form recently. Points in the last 4 races again. It feels like we're finding that magic once more. Well, I didn't want to jinx it coming into it, but it looks like rainy conditions are set to be the theme here in Mexico most of the weekend. Free practice is definitely going to be very, very treacherous, but Sunday as well looks to be just as bad as we try and put the power down out of the final corner. Mexico actually is always one of the longest races on the F1 calendar when it comes to time. It is a very, very long race, which I kind of always forget about. It's quite a low-speed circuit, with the exception of Sector 1, but yeah, how are we going to be able to do in free practice then this weekend? Of course, like I said, we haven't actually really got many more upgrades to go in Season 2, but it would be nice to earn a little bit of R&D, ready to get some facility upgrades done over the winter. As well, we haven't had any even rumours of rule changes, so I'm not convinced we're getting any for Season 3, but I also don't want to say that with any confidence just yet. Well, a few too many green scores early on in the lap, and then a red as well at the top of the hill means I don't think, well, purple is going to be doable, especially not with that line out of the final corner. We're going to have to settle for a green score. Right, next up then, tyre wear program. So I've got to try and make sure again that we pick up some more R&D points here, but yeah, I'm not really convinced. Don't really know how we're going to fare this weekend, to be honest. You know, we come in with all this sort of high from last season's race in Mexico, but often before in Formula 1, sometimes your highest highs are followed by your lowest lows, so yeah, let's not try and get too far ahead of ourselves. Still manage the wheel spin as best as possible. Make sure we're nice enough on the delta so we can afford to relax through the twisty bits. Oh, one tiny lock up there and you can see just how much it affects the wear as you head through the stadium section, rounding our way through the final couple of corners. 1.5 seconds up on the delta though. It's a little bit reassuring there as out of the final corner will go. Can we try and get it all the way up towards the purple? Let's wait and see. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Purple score. And that's a pretty successful free practice. Immediately jumping out then in towards the end of Q1, and similar conditions actually to COTA qualifying last weekend, where the track seems to be getting drier and drier as the qualifying goes on, but we've still got to try and get the lap hooked up here. I was going to put a fresh engine in the car this weekend, but honestly, in these slippery conditions, I don't really see much point in doing so, because of course we're not going to be able to use that extra power particularly well. But one chance then here at the end of Q2. I'm hoping we're going to see some purple times set by other drivers, otherwise maybe I've timed this badly. As yeah, Zhou Guanyu boosts his way up the order. Times are definitely still improving, as there we go, Carlos Sainz, fastest in his Ferrari. Well, somehow going purple through Sector 2, so clearly track conditions are improving, but I'm also running an incredibly high wing setup this weekend, much, much higher than I'm sure the AI are running, as that at the final corner, I think that's fastest. I reckon we went fastest there. I'm incredibly surprised by that, but clear by an entire second on the end of Q1. Helped, of course, by those slippery track conditions as, Lawson just misses out by half a tenth to Valtteri Bottas there. No major surprises, though, out in Q1. I'm sure Haas gutted that neither car makes it. Taking quite a gamble, then, as we head into Q2. Track is meant to be drying up, and the delta was only about 2 seconds between the softs and the intermediates when I came out onto the circuit. So I'm thinking that the track conditions will hopefully swing in my favour as this lap unfolds there. You can see how much the AI's times are improving at the moment. George Russell going fastest at the front of the field. But I was kind of there, like, we're not going to have the pace if I go out on a set of inters, so may as well throw caution to the wind here and really try and just hang on a set of the softs. This is quite brave, but already down at turn 1 is feeling quite grippy. And are we already seeing a bit of deja vu from last year's heroics, as Hamilton now fastest on the board. Perez in the drop zone at his home GP, and he might not be able to get another lap in. So similar potential vibes to Mexico in real life, in Britain even a few weeks ago, where of course he was the first car to set the last lap, and that really compromised him. But almost a second down in Sector 1, but it's in Sector 2 where we've been quick throughout the rest of the weekend here. Track doesn't feel too bad. It honestly feels quite grippy at the moment. I'm not really struggling for traction or anything like that, but how much time can we make up as we wind our way through Sector 2 there? That was pretty brave. And what's the delta going to be now to Bottas? We've pretty much clawed most of it back, 4 tenths down now on the flying fin, and it's obviously through the twisty bit, so we're making up a lot more time in towards the stadium section. This is really going to have to be a last dash recovery, so we wind our way through, but making our way in towards the final corner. Is this going to be enough to see us through into Q3? It's a very bold and brave strategy. It's going to be a 26.5. I think we've done it. No, we haven't. We're nowhere near. That hasn't made me look good. Well, we were 4 tenths away from Valtteri Bottas come the end of Sector 2, and yeah, that gap pretty much stayed level at the end there. I mean, we pretty much matched Logan Sargent, which wasn't bad going, but that hurts a little bit. I really thought we'd struck gold there, diamond in the rough. But it's P16 then, ready on the grid here for the Mexican GP.
Back in the 60s, Mexico City would host the season-ending race, a party of motor racing. Well, we might not host the finale now, but Mexico hosts a party nonetheless. So welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexico City Grand Prix. 17 corners then at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 10 to the right and 7 to the left. And all of them will have to be tackled in difficult wet conditions here today. No DRS assistance either, at least not for the start of the race. The best overtaking opportunities will still be down into turn 1 or shortly afterwards into turn 4. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Gasly, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Ocon, Bottas, Perez, Sargent, Mr. Monaco, Liam Lawson, Théo Pourchaire, Stroll, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, De Vries, and Zhou Guanyu. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Well, I don't think we've actually had a wet Mexican Grand Prix in real life since its return to the calendar in 2015, but yeah, apparently it seems to be the thing on F123. One-stop strategy, intermediate conditions all afternoon. Now, it's not raining that much. Maybe we could see quite a close switch between this and the dry tyres. Definitely looks a bit wetter than it did early on Saturday, but, you know, if we've got a red flag or something like that, things could very much change here in Mexico. Well, lining up against the local boy then, Sergio Perez. I mean, this weekend might knock him basically out of championship contention. He's still a long way back, but Charles Leclerc on the pole. He's got both of the Ferraris. When did I jump Logan Sargent? I must have done that off the line and never noticed in the entire lap round here. That's quite impressive. But yeah, 4 of our big championship rivals, front 4 on the grid. Max Verstappen, though, he needs to try and find some form. 5 red lights here in Mexico. It's lights out and away we go. Bottas and myself not responding too well. I just get a load of wheel spin as we head down in towards the first corner, as Esteban Ocon clearly struggling to get away as well. There's look at Logan Sargent storming down in towards that first turn. Spray everywhere, 4 wide. So we make our way in towards that first turn, but who is going to come out on top there? Looks like one of the Mercedes of, I think that might be Russell, straight up to the front of the field. We're just trying to have a look around the outside through turn 2. And a little bit of contact there with Sargent off the exit of the corner, but we're trying to get the power down as Esteban Ocon again really struggling with traction. Clearly that Williams has got fantastic traction there as well. Sargent into the back of Ocon. I almost go into the back of the Williams. Again, we'll try and hook it up around the outside. Now actually get a warning there. Contact with both Williams in the space of 2 corners. Yep, there we go. Another warning for myself as well. Tiny, tiny bits of contact, but the FIA clearly want to do everything against it as Charles Leclerc has reclaimed the lead then on this opening lap. Still got one of those Mercs in hot pursuit there. It's clearly the other one trying to keep Max Verstappen at bay. So is Hamilton now finally being used as a bit of a rear gunner for George Russell? He's still the one with the best shot at the crown come season's end, unless of course you're Max Verstappen. But Alex Albon then sitting just in front of me, separating us from the points as we come towards the end of lap 1. Oh, that was scary. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a bit more of a marathon than a lot of races this season. Like I said, Mexico actually a very, very long race in terms of time. You kind of forget just how low speed this venue really is, especially in these sorts of conditions. But look at that, the extra downforce working well as we head out of the final corner. We were momentarily in 10th place, but yeah, the Williams, very, very quick car, very slippery down the straights, which might not be so ideal in these conditions there, as Albon's going to try and cover me off. He'll be brave on the brakes and he'll make it work. Ah! Sorry, Albon. I accidentally went down the inside there. I was just trying to avoid him. To be completely honest, I might get another warning for a collision with the Williams. I won't claim the advantage from that through the next couple of corners. We will try to be, you know, fairly realistic where I can be in that regard. But yes, Sargent still just behind us. But it's been a while since we saw Williams in the top 10. And, well, hopefully they won't go in at the moment. I mean, we've got so much more confidence through these few corners as Albon there kicking out the back end, as he'll now have to go defensive on me in towards the stadium. No, he won't. We'll switch to the inside there. Whoa, big cadence break in towards the apex, and we do absolutely barge him out. But, yeah, a little bit of movement there from both cars in the braking zone, so I think all was fair in it all. But we make it up, and we're into P10. Okay, new fastest lap of the day for ourselves, apparently. So, yeah, the extra downforce that we're running, really working, apparently, early on today. Now, I am actually got the car set up that if we start to see times down in towards the 25s, could be worth making a switch over onto dry compound tyres. Of course, we'll base it on the conditions and a few other things, but I don't think, you know, Mexico seems to be one of those tracks, actually. A lot of venues on F123, the wet-dry crossover period is actually a lot slicker than in previous games, so, you know, it could be worth a punt later on in the day. Right, here we go then. Trying to get a run on Pierre Gasly there, as he's just going to drive away into the distance on the run back down towards turn 1. I guess the problem we have got is we are very, very quick, but we're quick in the parts of the track that you can't really overtake. Norris trying to fend from Magnussen just in front of us. The Dane really has seemed to have found himself since that win in Qatar. Of course, just was able to manage the tyres better than anyone else that weekend, but much better traction off of turn 2 as we're going to go side by side with Pierre up in towards 4. Can we hook it up around the outside? Have to really run it deep into the second part of the corner and just squeeze the Alpine out. Right, come on then. Lap 6, trying to line up a move on Kevin Magnussen. That was not quite the move I had in mind, but it was very Kevin Magnussen-esque and no contact made between us. So try and switch him off the corner, put the power down, big tank slapper. But you can see we've got so much grip at the moment, just so much air being pushed down onto the front of the car. And we'll make it by, despite the fact how scrappy and not very well done I made that look. yeah, we have got confidence. Well, I'm already weighing up the potential option of trying to actually go to the end of this Grand Prix on this set of tyres. The intermediates, of course, and the full wets react very, very differently to high amounts of wear. Unlike the dry compound tyres, they don't quite fall off in the same manner. And just trying to do the maths in my head, these tyres would only be 74, 75%, I think, by the end of this race, depending on how clean we manage to drive. Might be worth a gamble here to try and spring us up towards the front of the field. And, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but back-to-back Mexican GP victories through strategy. Oh, big run. Look at that on Lando Norris. It's like we've got traction control relative to the AI there. That was ridiculous. And swoop around the outside of Lando will go, and that's the kind of confidence we've got in the car at the moment. We just drive rings around cars that, remember, Lando, I couldn't even keep up with him last weekend. The setup we've got here is working beautifully. Well, that might be the other thing that costs us this afternoon. That gearbox wear is incredibly high. Mexico, there is quite a lot of changes. I mean, every Formula 1 track, there's quite a lot of gear changes you have to make, so hopefully we're not going to lose a gear, or if we do, hopefully it's one that isn't particularly useful. But yeah, you really do kind of get around the box, don't you, around here? Just a lot of high speed, a lot of low speed. It's all over the back now of Carlos Sainz. The pace has still been strong, but I mean, look at that. We've just got confidence like no one else to get on the throttle out of the corners. The team's still suggesting, I think the range is going to be like this pretty much for the rest of the afternoon. We're using loads of battery as we head down in towards turn 1, trying to stay up the inside of Carlos. Might try and switch him off of 2 and 3, which we'll absolutely try to go for. Time round, I mean, Carlos Sainz using a lot of curbs, so he actually did very, very well initially, but just can't carry that momentum on through the second phase of acceleration. Down the outside, we'll have a look. Can we get it slowed down? He'll try and squeeze me, but we'll be able to hook it up around the outside. We can just lean on the apex through the second part and just slowly force him out. Up into 6th we go. And yeah, this might be the weekend where Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez effectively say goodbye to their championship chances. Oscar Piastri, another star in the second half this season, struggled to kick on with Aston Martin early on, but was clearly the better of him and Logan Sargent, and then maybe Kevin Magnussen, bringing his years of experience and setup work to Aston Martin, has gone and done them a massive favour to make our way out of the final couple of turns, because, yeah, Oscar Piastri, I mean, both drivers winning a race late on this season has been incredible to see, but this young Australian, I really do have a lot of faith in him in the future. You can see 1/3 distance then, just flicking over onto 26% on the tyres, so we're definitely, you know, putting a bit of wear through them. But of course, that is probably the worst third of this race as well. So we head back down in towards turn 1. Piastri sliding that Aston Martin into an apex, but are we going to be able to try and out-traction him like we did with Carlos Sainz? Fantastic hook up that time, and look at that, we get all the way alongside him. We know that Aston Martin will be quick down the straight. Can we try and hook it up round the outside, braking nice and late into the corner? Oscar Piastri's still there, but we've done it before and we'll do it again. Down the inside through turn 5, try and keep the back end in check. But up to 5th place now. So I actually did a little bit of research before we jumped into free practice today. The game sees this track as a low downforce circuit, so I think the AI is standard run like a 12 to 14 wing, there or thereabouts. So of course they're tremendously quick down the straights, but especially obviously in the wet conditions, I don't actually think they alter their setups at all. For reference, I think we're running 37-35 wing here. Now of course the ERS absolutely makes up for that, obviously in the acceleration zones or top end speed of course, but yeah, through the corners, the AI have just got absolutely nothing against me as of right now. I mean, we're all over the back of Verstappen. We might be a little bit stuck behind Hamilton, but Russell and Leclerc hardly breaking away at the front of the field either. But this is just working beautifully early on. And, of course, because we're not having to drag the car so aggressively through the corners because we've got the downforce, you can see Verstappen all sliding around just in front of me. It's helping our tyre wear as well. Verstappen, another big slide, and he might be an easy prey this time round as we have a look down the inside. No, we'll switch back to the outside. But look how late we can brake there, around the outside of the Dutchman. Try to squeeze me out over the curbing, but I think we just kept the inside wheel on the white line. But up to P4 now, here in Mexico. Oh, red flag. I see no one stopped on the road, but that works out beautifully, because effectively now everyone has got a free pit stop here, so we should be able to go to the end. No issues. Are we going to see changing of conditions now? It's still going to rain right the way through to the end of the GP, but this has given us a real opportunity then. Starting on the restart then from P4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go. So we're going to try to avoid the wheel spin on the run down towards someone there. Hamilton responding slightly better than teammate George Russell, as that is not what the number 2 in the championship won today. You can see the top speed, though, that these guys have got. Charles Leclerc defending his lead. As look at the speed Verstappen had in towards the first corner. He will go wheel banging with Lewis Hamilton there, as we get a nice shove from the second Mercedes car off the corner. You know what? We'll go right around the outside of him. Thanks to that one. Gearbox wear is up to 73%, so it's not looking great in the second half of the afternoon. But yeah, Verstappen finds a way around me, as again he and Lewis Hamilton will bang wheels through the next couple of corners. Can we try and get a run on the Dutchman there? We're almost 3 wide. Try and break a little bit early in that one, but sure, we can try and squeeze the Dutchman out, which we have done. And up then into the podium places then here in Mexico, but just like the first start, Charles Leclerc trying to break away early on, but now we know we don't even really have to nurse the tyres. We can really push this thing in the second half of the afternoon. As you can see immediately, the AI struggling to find the grip and the confidence there, and we just know exactly what this car is going to do. It feels like at the moment, it honestly feels like it's on rails. All the upgrades we've been bringing in recent weeks are looking so useful as of right now. Can we try and get a run on Hamilton out the final corner? I mean, look at that. It's like we got traction control. Hamilton kind of bails out of it as we set a purple final sector. Let's try and see if we can get fastest lap point. As here comes Lewis, though, straight back at me. So clearly still lacking some top-end speed relative to the AI, but we'll try and have a look round him on the run back down. That's way too late on the brakes. We'll just about keep it somewhere near the island as Max Verstappen again then. We'll try and have a look through 1 and 2. And are we going to see potentially George Russell get back involved in that? No, Max holds on. Right, come on then. Round 2 against Lewis Hamilton as we cross over the start-finish line. Again, purple through the middle sector that time round. But no new fastest lap. I really don't know how we did that 27.7. I think the circuit has got slightly wetter as the race has gone on. As Lewis wanted to chop in front of me there, but not going to allow it. He slides his way through turn 1. And can we get around the outside through turn 2 and into turn 3? Yes, we can. And now up at a second place then of the Mexican GP. Just about able to hang on ahead of Lewis, as you can see, Verstappen, now in a Mercedes sandwich. But can we go in pursuit of Charles Leclerc at the front of the field? There is Lewis thought about it, but we firmly tell him no. There we go, new fastest lap of the day, and if that doesn't state our intent to Charles Leclerc at the front of the field, I don't know what will. If anything, qualifying feels like a bit of a bogey this weekend, as I think Lawson might be up on the cusp of points. This car is really working around this circuit. Another new fastest lap of the day as we are now under a second back from Charles Leclerc. 2/3 race distance here this afternoon, and to be honest, seems like that qualifying blunder yesterday honestly just gave us a bit of a challenge here come race day Sunday. We have carved our way up from 15th place on the grid, remember? And, well, we just haven't, it's not been great strategy or anything like that. It's just been raw pace. Charles Leclerc and I pulling away from the rest of the field, but I'm hoping that Leclerc's going to face the same fate everyone else has, and that's end up looking at our rear wing. So around the outside of Leclerc will go, not quite there, able to make it happen. You can see the Monegasque driver clearly willing to defend a bit more aggressively than a lot of others have been able to. The rain is starting to slow down. Could we end up still seeing a switch to the dry tyres before this race is down and out? Not convinced, but you never know what will happen inside F123 as we make our way in towards the final few corners. Don't say we could get a repeat of last season, but where are we going to be able to find a route, an avenue around Charlie Boy again? It's like last season all over as the Monegasque driver out of the final corner trying to put the power down. This time around though we'll get a tremendous run on him. We know how quick that Ferrari is down the straight, so we'll have to slingshot as best as possible, but as soon as we pull out of the draft, we got nothing extra against him there as we heading towards the braking zone, trying to spot at about 150 meters. A little bit of lock-up, a little bit of wheel banging. So we'll try to slot back in behind through turn 2. Can we try and put the power down out of turn 3? This is a great battle with Charlie Boy. He's definitely put up a better fight than most have this afternoon, but to the outside we'll try and look. Is he going to cover me off? Going to try and squeeze me, and yes he will there. You can see slides the car into the braking zone a little bit more as well. We try to have a look around the outside, again banging wheels as we make our way, well, into the middle sector, as that's a lot of understeer on the exit, and yeah, definitely cannot claim the advantage from that, I don't think. Goes to show though how hesitant the AR. I was on half throttle there and we were still dragging alongside him. So we head back through the S's once again, just over 11 laps to go. Yellow's out. Someone behind us seems to have issues, and it's Williams. I think that might be Logan Sargent that's gone for a spin.
Okay, you've lost access to one of the gears. We've lost
No.
one of the gears due to a fault in the gearbox.
Oh, I think we've lost 4th gear then, late on in the day, so this is really not ideal for us as we head back down towards turn 1. Let's just try and be careful as I cycle back down the gears. Yep, definitely 4th. So that is, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, these engines super torquey, and unlike F122, of course, 4th gear isn't a traction gear anymore inside F123.
Remember, you've got a lot of torque in these power units, so you should be able to stay in high gears for a lot of the lap.
Mark's saying exactly the same thing I was, but you can just see there, you know, the muscle memory of cycling down a certain amount of gears. We have to retrain our brain for a couple of laps. Yellow's out again. I see another car's gone. It is George Russell. 2nd in the championship. George Russell looks to be having another engine failure here in Mexico. Of course, had one in Qatar just a couple of weekends ago, and Mercedes will be left with their head in their hands at the moment. Russell out of the Grand Prix. And remember, of course, in Qatar, when Russell had a failure, Max Verstappen span in happiness, I suppose. But yeah, hopefully not going to do the same thing here today. But that might be George Russell's championship hopes gone in a cloud of smoke then, as Leclerc again trying to defend from me. And again, we got to remember, we're down a gear. Not going to stop us though, trying to get the power down. Oh, there we go, 4th gear's back again, and immediately we're able to use that grip and traction and power to get to the outside of the Monegasque driver. Oh, he's locked up. Got to give him the room. That was a bit sketchy there as Charles Leclerc now will give me a big old squeeze through the next corner. But yeah, both of us trying to make sure we give each other racing room. This has been a fantastic battle, but we're through now and into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix with less than 10 laps to go. But now we've got 5 cars from 5 different teams making up the top 5, and it is still anyone's game. Well, I don't quite know how we built up a 5-second lead inside 2 laps here, but if that doesn't showcase the pace we've got in the car, I don't think anything else will. Maybe Leclerc started to struggle slightly late on in the day, but 8 laps from home. Are we really a Mexico merchant? Oh, yellow's out. It's a McLaren going slowly with just 4 laps to go. Could that change things up late in the day here? Is it the McLaren? No, it might actually be the Alpine a little bit further back, and that works out beautifully for my teammate Liam Lawson. As, yeah, one of those Alpines then might be falling to the wayside. I don't think we can get a safety car. I think we're too late in the day. But Gasly out, and it's a VSC. Okay, so that is not really going to change anything. We've just got to make sure obviously we get the tyres back up to temperature, but a 13-second lead over Charles Leclerc. I've got no doubt in my mind he has got some sort of car issues late on, because he is causing a train. There we go, 3 laps to go. Green flag racing once again. They haven't got Gasly's car off the road. But where is Lawson running in all of this? Let's have a look. Teammate status. Sorry, that's definitely not what I said, game. Let's try that again.
Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 38 with 5 seconds. They're on old intermediates. They're in 10th place. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 31.0.
Well, it doesn't look like Lawson's in 10th at the moment, but yeah, there we go. Our teammate still hanging on to the final points paying position. Go on, Liam, score some more points. Well, sun's starting to shine through then as we come towards the final lap here, and Mexico is actually getting very, very bright for whatever reason. Liam Lawson still, I'm trying to watch him on the mini-map. He might just be able to hang on for a top 10 finish here as well, but what can we say about Mexico then? I mean, I think it is a track that generally the AI struggle on a little bit more, and well, they definitely don't take the setup the right way. I'm not going to try and pretend that we've had a miraculous turnaround of pace or anything like that, or we've unlocked something special in the car. The continual upgrades, don't get me wrong, have made things a lot more competitive for us, and the race car is getting better each and every week at the moment, but yeah, Mexico I think is slightly broken on the AI front as well. But that being said, you know what? We're also going to enjoy it. One win in Season 1 here in Mexico. We've already had one win this season, all the way back at the Austrian Grand Prix. Once again, in changeable conditions. This weekend, it has just been soggy and damp right from the get-go, but we adjusted the setup. We made sure we made the tweaks that we absolutely needed and just stuck to our guns, and we have absolutely been able to make it work for us. 15th place on the grid. It wasn't a safety car intervention. It wasn't a dry to wet race that allowed us to get to the front. It was raw pace and consistency here that have put us in this position as we round our way through the final couple of corners. Max Verstappen, I'm sure, will leave here smiling as well, as his big championship rival in George Russell, will of course walk away with nothing to show for it. The Dutchman's going to go into the final couple of races with a 50-point lead over any of his competitors there. One more sprint weekend, 3 more Grand Prix to go this season. Through the final couple of corners though, Mexico once again, we are going to round through and back on top. 2 wins and a spin as we make our way through the final couple of corners, but once again we reign victorious here in Mexico.
We did it! We did it!
You can't fault the performance on the track today. A well-deserved victory. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1. Let's see how the driver's standings have changed. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They pushed and pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula 1, so be sure to join us for the next one.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Mexican GP, and I mean, you look at that, 15th to first. Fastest lap as well, so we will absolutely take the bonus point. Charles Leclerc comes home for P2 ahead of Hamilton and Verstappen there. Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Checo, Esteban, and yeah, Liam Lawson. Points for him as well, so clearly this was a track that suited the car because he made some fantastic progress as well throughout the afternoon. Russell, the only car not to make it to the checkered flag, means championship-wise, okay. Verstappen, only a 38-point lead at the top of the table, so yeah, I suppose, yeah, he lost 8 points at Kota, didn't he, that I kind of forgot about as well. But yeah, with 3 races to go and a sprint race then, everyone inside that top 6 still with a shot at the World Championship. If my maths hasn't failed me, there's currently 86 points available. So Carlos Sainz is all but out of it, and I think Hamilton, Checo, and Charles Leclerc will probably join him come the end of the Brazilian GP. But it is between the Dutchman and George Russell, I think, and that engine failure is really going to cost George this weekend. Lawson up to 19th place with those extra points as well means that in the Constructors' battle, we've now got a 48-point lead over Alpine, which is absolutely beautiful for us as well. 47 the gap between Mercedes and Red Bull. That, I think, is the one Red Bull should be more worried about at the moment. Mercedes have really been picking up momentum as Checo Perez has really faltered late on in the game. But thank you all so much for watching this video as always. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will be back next time out when Formula 1 returns, the final sprint race of Season 2 out in Brazil.